Hi, this is Megan at Mother's Bistro and Bar in Portland. You're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
Chasing Ghosts on Scooters, Not in Bars, a podcast that blends the modern scooter lifestyle with a twist to the paranormal over a cool cocktail.
Bar reviews, scooter talk, ghost stories. We're an independent podcast that follows a group of modern and vintage Vespa riders in a search of classic pubs, dive bars, and haunted taverns. Or we used to. This is not smart or safe, but it's really fun. As a disclaimer, we never encourage drinking and scooting and keep our intake to 1 drink per hour.
You know, there's that stupid disclaimer again. You know, I had a talk with our legal department, and their advice was, do whatever the fuck you want.
Whoa. Well, hello, and welcome to episode 38, Slow Ride Home. Today we're featuring an interview with Justin and Derric of the Soldiers of Destiny Scooter Club and their award-winning film, Slow Ride Home. If you're a rider and crave crazy adventure scooter riding films, this one is for you. We also took our own 120-mile essential ride to pick up burgers in support of our favorite place down south in Bakota. We'll also have spooky and scooter news. All right, so what are the haps, guys? We got a full garage. We're all distanced out at 6 feet with extension cords on your microphones for maybe a little bit different sound than you're used to, that super high-quality moving blanket sound. But, Keith, I'm going to start with you. Pandominono.
Well, I've been spending a lot of time at home recently.
Have you? Why is that?
Working from home.
Yeah.
Kind of an interesting thing.
It's the COVID thing.
It's the COVID thing, yeah.
Right.
I think that's what they tell me anyway. So, but you know, I wanted to say we last night went to a little event outside church, drive-in church. It's pretty interesting, actually.
Really, did the lightning come down and strike your car?
The lightning did not come down and strike the car, but we were exercising our constitutional right.
Were you guys making out during the sermon?
Did you move into the back
No
seat?
comment. I did get some nails done while the sermon was going on.
Well, that sounds like fun. How about you there, Lizard? What's been going on?
Well, you know, we've had some pretty good weather here in the Northwest lately. As a matter of fact, I think we hit 70 the other day, so we had to have a little happy hour on the beach a couple nights ago. That was fun.
Yeah.
You guys all came up. Two of you rode up.
We did. We rode up there. Yeah.
And,
apart from each other.
Yeah, of course.
Not two up.
Keith came up in his convertible looking pretty sophisticated. I thought it was pretty fun.
It was a very nice event. Yeah. Thank you, Lonnie.
Yeah.
Beautiful place you got there.
Thank you.
We utilized your whole beachfront.
Yes, we did. All 60 feet of it.
And Coach, what's happening with you?
Not a whole lot. Just kind of working on my left.
On your left.
Whole new adventure.
What does that mean?
My left hand.
Okay.
The yard's looking great. I'm pretty slow around.
Oh, that's a basketball term. Okay.
That's a left dribble. You're also heading out of town as soon as we're done here.
Yeah, I'm going to head up to Camino Island, inspect some painting.
And
Thank God I didn't have to do it.
Are you going to sleep there?
No, we're coming back tonight.
Oh, so no.
We're going to mow the 2 or 3 yards and weed whack under the decks and then head home.
Are you going to use your left hand when you weed whack?
We'll see.
You know, you could be like Teresa. You could rake your beach. Or was it Teresa that was? No, it was Maddie.
It was Maddie. No, that's Maddie,
Maddie
yeah.
was raking the beach.
Yeah, nonstop.
How did that hold up after a high tide?
There's some stuff out there this morning, but she'll be back out there and cleaning her back up.
Well, you know what they say. A high tide lifts all boats.
That's what they say.
Not the Titanic.
No, apparently not. Hey, here's some updates. I got some updates for you. We're looking forward to sharing our recent interview with the charming Sarah Blessington of the Scooter Life podcast. You remember her? We've called her out on this podcast a couple of times, And she played coy. She wouldn't return messages. She wouldn't do or this or that. We finally nailed her.
The possum.
We did. But she rode 6,000 miles on her sim scooter across the USA. Wow, did you hear that? That came right through my phone.
I thought that was your ass.
For over a 5-month period, and she's coming up on our next podcast. We're going to be having an interview with her. So
there are more podcasts coming.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. You can listen to our first 6 episodes on anywhere on called the Scooter Life Podcast, or find her at scooterlifepodcast.com.
Any other updates?
Yeah. We also spent some time with Alex and Monique from the Home Wrecker Podcast, and they're out of New Hampshire. They have a very fun program featuring the paranormal, classic 80s and 90s movies, and professional wrestling. It's kind of a combo like ours.
And they've got
Ghosts,
some
and
Obama
Bars.
talk on there, too.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Alex is a retired professional wrestler. He was known as the Golden Greek, and Monique was his valet.
Are they also number one within that podcast category?
I think they probably are the number one movies and ghost and wrestling
we only interview the
podcast
best.
out there. You can get caught up with their podcasts, and they're very prolific, at homerecordpodcast.com. So we're looking forward to that as well. It'll be coming up.
And that name's pretty fitting, I think, with the COVID virus going around.
The Home
Divorces
Wrecker?
have to be skyrocketing right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a positive note. Thank you, Mark.
Well, just bringing the real news to you.
All right.
Hard-hitting news.
I'm filing Monday.
Don't forget to follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and the Twitter. And if you have any kind of story, anything you'd like to share, we'd love to hear it. Just go to markh@chasingghost.net or record it on your phone voice recorder and send it through our website or anywhere on social media. Connect that. It's really easy to do. Just share that story because everybody has one. Everybody has one that doesn't make sense for them.
Mostly in the closet.
So that's what's been going on. So what happens after updates?
It's that time
Guess
again.
what time it is, guys? Time for Scooter News. So here you go. Hey, you know what goes along with Scooter News?
No.
Sound effects.
There we go.
Okay, Bobby Chong couldn't be here. He's up at his cabin up in Whidbey Island, Penn Cove. So he sends his regards. But I think they had some wine yesterday.
Oh.
And they bought another scooter.
They did.
Imagine that.
T-Bone purchased yet another scooter from Andrew at Vespa Portland. This is a customized 150 Primavera with all kinds of add-ons, including two-tone paint, racks. You know what I think we ought to do?
You're going to need a bigger boat.
What's that,
listen to
Mark?
That
guy again.
I have my phone connected to the Roadcaster, and every time somebody texts me, they actually, it comes through in my text messages. I'm in the boat business.
You want to fess to
You're going to want a bigger boat.
Why don't you fess to the public how you scorned us for ancillary noises?
Yeah, but this one was kind of clever.
You're continuing to work.
Let's see what happens. Let's see if we get old Andrew on the phone.
Are we calling him?
Yeah, right now.
Right, nice.
Here it is.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Andrew. Welcome.
Hi, Andrew.
Hey, what's up, Mark? And Mark?
Yeah.
Andrew.
And the lizard.
And Lizard?
And Pendominono.
Heck yeah. Good to see you guys. Or kind of.
Hey, we were just kind of laughing because it sounds like Bobby Chong, T-Bone, bought another Vespa.
She did. She started texting yesterday and said, tell me about the Vespa Electrica. I said, it goes 33 miles an hour. She said, not fast enough. What else you got?
Yeah. And she ended up with a Primavera.
Yeah, 150. We do these kind of customized, when you're looking at the same scooters every day, it's like, all right, there's another red one, there's another white one. So sometimes when we can add some neat things to them, black accessories, other different ways to kind of configure the look, we do that. And we have the Sahara, there's a Ural sidecar motorcycle that comes in a color called Sahara, and it rhymes with Primavera. So the Sahara Vera is what we call the Primavera after we put a bunch of black stuff on it and make it kind of look like the Ural. We even have like a Ural rock guard on the headlight and everything. So looks pretty cool. But yeah, she said her favorite colors were brown and beige. Well, there you go. So She's trading in her buddy Kick, and she's going to pick up that brown and beige Primavera 150 next week, I think.
Oh, so you're going to have a used Kick in stock with 140 miles.
Yeah, that's it. Wow. You want it?
Hell of a
another
deal.
one to your stable?
I think I have enough for the time being. But what's been going on down at Vespa Portland? What's been happening down there in the great, keep it weird,
The Rose City.
Rose City.
For COVID, it's definitely been slower. That's for sure. Not as many people just walking in. Some of the sales volume has kind of transitioned to text messages and Facebook Messenger and Instagram, and just kind of wherever. Really, I think people are sitting at home looking at things and wishing, dreaming about getting out there. Services have kept up pretty well, though it's been interesting to see like what type of services have happened. So a month and a half or so back, well before all these stay-at-home orders, well, I guess there was some of that still going on. All the services were pretty much essential employees only. It's like my bike fell over and my brake lever snapped, or I got a flat tire, or I just need my service and I use my scooter to go to work every day. It was all that. A week or two later, it kind of transitioned into people who would normally be getting their bike ready for the normal season. And now it has kind of transitioned into, I've moved here from the Bay Area 7 years ago, and my scooter's been sitting in the garage ever since. And I'd really love to get this thing running. So I think we've reached the point where people are just really bored, and they want to get out of the house any way they can. So we've had a lot of that. Bikes sitting 1 to 7 years, and they just want to get it moving again. So I'm hoping that some of these guys that get back on those types of scooters they remember the joy of riding and how it can clear your mind, and they keep going, and they don't end up back in the garage just sitting there.
Yeah, and looking at your Instagram feed, it looks like you've enjoyed some riding, getting out on your own and hitting the country a little bit.
Oh yeah. Last August, we took 23 people on a ride through wine country out here. We went to 3 wineries. We had a catered taco lunch, and it was just a really good day. It was only like a 105-mile trip, but for a lot of people, that was the first time they'd ever really ridden out of the city before, and it was just kind of an eye-opening experience for them that you can go further than you think on these things, and you guys know that, of course, all the pub scooters. But I just did the same route in reverse with 3 different friends, and we just stayed distant. And having those Sena Bluetooth communicators in your helmet really helps being distant.
Wow, you know what? That's really weird because I didn't know scooters had reverse.
Nice.
Oh,
Keep up with you,
lizard.
lizard.
So, hey, Andrew, we're going to also talk a little bit about this new Honda ADV 150, the 2021. Have you read anything about that?
Not at all, man. I've been too busy.
Too busy riding. Yeah, Honda's got an adventure 150 scooter. It's a crossover for city and a little bit of off-road. It's kind of cool. You want to stay on while we talk about that, or do you not want us to have you on the phone? It'll burn up if we talk about another brand.
No, I don't mind. Go ahead.
So this is actually a press release just came out from American Honda. And
Is it a step-through design?
yeah, it's a step-through. It's an unlikely mix of scooter and adventure bike, resulting in an enjoyable, distinctive machine that's ready for anything, whether it can be a lighthearted variation on the campus commute or a trip down the local back road. It's a step-through design, substantial tires, robust Showa suspension, and compact but comfortable ADV 150 has a rugged look that's backed up by the powerful but efficient engine, a tapered handlebar, and optimized frame offering nimble handling.
So how fast does it go?
It goes 1,000
1,000 what?
kilometers.
Nice.
So this is coming out. This is what Cycle News said. What exactly is the ADV 150? That's a fair question. Given the unique nature of this new model from Honda, the answer is a lightweight, compact scooter with adventure-ready features, a crossover model that embraces Honda's city adventure concept and is positioned for both daily commuting and recreation. Prepared for practical use while still enabling the rider to indulge in opportunities for new experiences. It facilitates smooth urban travel and also backroad exploring, making the most fun and, well, I don't know what else this says. It's a whole bunch of stuff that just looks like it's written by Honda.
Mary and I were overseas a couple years ago, and there was a Honda, God, I think it was at least a 500 that was a full-size scoot, dual-purpose, like
Dual
54
sport.
horsepower. It was killer.
Wow.
It looked really cool. So I think that's a great idea.
Well, what was that Royal Enfield that Bob had, a Himalaya?
Yeah.
Yeah, they say it's kind of a combination of the Himalaya and a GTV or GTS. So kind of an interesting way that they characterized it. It starts at $42.99. I bet you that's plus a few things. But it'll be available in June, and we'll be waiting for our test bike to show up from Honda. I'm sure they'll hear this and send us one, just like you do almost every week, Andrew. Thank you so much.
Wait, you're not receiving them?
They're getting short stopped. Well, no, wait, Teresa's picking it up.
Yeah.
T-Bone. So,
exactly. She's got it up on the island.
hey, well, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us for a little bit of scooter news. Is there anything coming down the pike from Vespa we should know about?
Yeah, Piaggio actually just put out one of their best promotions they've ever done. They've got pretty good financing on that they would usually have around this time of year to clear out the older year inventory. If you live near a dealership that has 2019s on the floor still, they have 0% interest rates right now. We're lucky in Portland. We blew through all the 2019s like last September, so not the case
Good
for
for
us.
you.
But if you're in the 2020 range, the rates are like 1.99%. Still pretty solid.
Yeah.
And then they've got a really good first responder promo going on, which will save you it's $250 if you have a 50cc scooter and up to 500 if you're at 150 or higher. And that applies to anyone who is a police officer, firefighter, EMT, nurse, doctor, any of the armed services branches.
Or a boat salesman.
How about podcaster?
If you can provide an ID, you just show your ID, and then the dealership makes a copy of that, sends it off to Piaggio, and you have $250 to $500 off your scooter right now. I don't know how long that's going to last, but it's a pretty solid deal when you combine it with that super low interest rate.
Yeah, no kidding. I think that's a great thing for them to do as well.
I have a question for Andrew.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, what as far as the electrics, what are you seeing as far as acceptance and market penetration and blah, blah, blah?
Right now, I'd say it's still kind of mostly people who are already kind of enamored with electric scooters. We've sold a Gen Z electric scooter for a while. We've sold 2 Vespa Electricas in town. They went to kind of higher income folk. Then new NIU, it means bull in Mandarin. That's the new electric scooter that's being imported by Genuine. Those are seeing some traction. So some people that had never really thought about getting a scooter until it was electric decided that this was the time to do it. We actually sold one yesterday up to a guy in Seattle and to another person in Montana. They're getting shipped out next week. The guy in Montana has an electric lawnmower, electric car, electric, everything. So he wanted to add a scooter to the list. Yeah.
2.
Yeah. So they're pretty good. And then right now the electric scooters they're either 50cc equivalent, 30-ish miles an hour, or the new has the NGT, which goes up to 45, and so that one's definitely turning some heads. It's kind of like a 115, 120cc equivalent, I would say.
Wow, very cool. Andrew, how does someone get in touch with you if they want to know more about the brand you carry and where you're at and what to do?
Lately, everyone just seems to be sending a message to @Vespa Portland on Instagram, but our phone number is 503-222-3779. It's VespaPortland.com. There's a Vespa Portland YouTube channel. That's a good way to do it all.
Cool. All right, Andrew, thank you for taking the time to accept our call in our live recording of Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars. Talk soon.
See you soon.
Thanks, guys. This pandemic has been a bummer, but all your extra podcasts have not been. So.
Oh, thank you so much.
You've been drinking again.
Yeah, 10:30 in the morning.
All right. Well, we are. All right, man. See ya. Well, there you go.
Good old Andrew.
Yeah, I'm going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb so that we don't get any more text messages coming through the Roadcaster Pro.
Well, that's a treat.
Yeah, how about that?
Following your own advice.
So what happens after Scooter News? What's the next one?
That would be spooky news.
Well, would it be?
What do you have? Ooh.
I had to find my pad, man. So this one's for you.
What do you have?
Okay, in Switzerland,
Yodel.
there is a Swiss theme park completely devoted to ancient aliens.
Really?
They have a theme park completely devoted. The whole subject matter is ancient aliens.
Why didn't you tell me this before we went there last summer?
Yeah, it's amongst the breathtaking scenery of the mountains of Switzerland, which is completely and unashamedly devoted to aliens and ancient astronauts. This was posted today by Mysterious Universe. Today it was posted. It has its origins with a rather controversial Swiss author and researcher, and I'd like you, do you see the name there?
Erich Anton Paul von Duncan.
Thank you. And if anyone that has followed the idea about ancient aliens and has had contact with or influenced human beings will know he is the author of Chariots of the Gods. And he's been highly criticized for touting pseudoscience and pseudo-archaeology, but he is undoubtedly one of the best well-known, respected driving forces behind the idea of ancient UFOs and astronauts helping to push these things and these ideas into the mainstream.
He's well known?
He is well known.
Or is he hiding in Argentina?
No, he ended up having to sell the place. He didn't quite do what he needed to do.
Shocker.
The ancient astronaut hypothesis says that aliens have a hand in everything from the Egyptian pyramids to the Nazca lines and Stonehenge and many others. And its presence in popular discourse is largely thanks to him. Between his writings, lectures, and stints in jail for embezzlement, fraud, and forgery, that's from his days in the hotel business. Has nothing to do with the ancient aliens. As well as accusations of plagiarism, that might. He managed to create what he envisioned as his magnum opus, a theme park completely devoted to ancient aliens and the mysteries of our planet. So it's in a former military airport at the town of Interlaken.
Oh, yeah. That's right there between the two lakes.
Right, in the picturesque Bernese highlands of the Swiss Alps. And he named it originally Mystery Park. So
that sounds right up your alley.
Has 8 different pavilions, all covering different areas of the ancient alien theories, and places, it's not about history as we know it. It's about the history of the ancient aliens.
I'm just glad that we're carrying the story of someone that seems to be well represented, and there's no questions about his accountability or anything.
No, none. And, it actually 1 year had over 400,000 visitors. But then
online or in person?
In person.
Wow.
And then what happened was they started getting people saying, "Hey, we brought our kids here. Where are the rides?" it was all
You're on it already.
It's up to the age.
So
You've been taken for one.
It ended up getting sold, and now it's just open during the summer. It's a summer opening that does that. So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of a cool thing for
a reason to go back.
Kind of spooky.
Spooky news.
I'd go if I was in Switzerland. I'd go.
Okay.
I'd drive by.
Speaking of ancient aliens and Chariots of the Gods, we were fortunate to spend some time with the guys from the Soldiers of Destiny Scooter Club, Justin and Derric, talking about their recent award-winning film, Slow Ride Home, which is now available. You can download it. You can. They're waiting for the approval from Prime, and it would be slowridehome.com where you can get that information. But here's our conversation with Justin and Derric about what this crazy idea was all about and how it all came to happen. Thanks, you guys, so much for taking the time to do this. I know how busy you are promoting your film.
Yeah, and we seriously thank you. I mean, this is that weird, and I don't want to use the word opportunistic, but it's one of those weird times where we know everybody's not doing anything. Well, at least most people. And we had planned on a spring release this whole time. So this happening, we knew that our friends were going to be sitting around and looking for something positive to do or a good way to spend an hour and a half, it kind of worked out. And again, don't want to use the word opportunistic at all, but in a weird way, there was a small shed of positivity for our release during this time. And it's been fun to promote. We've been doing it for so long that it feels like we've been doing this for 4 years, but really a lot of people are just hearing about it for the first time.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So we are talking with Justin and Derric, right? Justin Barnes and
Yeah,
Derric Tanner, is that correct?
that is correct. Yeah.
And you guys make up 2 of the 7 that ran across the United States on a leisurely jaunt.
Leisurely is a good word. Derric, you want to take that?
Leisurely jaunt. Yeah, it was 10 hours a day of the most grueling scooter riding I've ever done in my life, but it was worth it.
You know,
the leisurely, when it came to like every night we'd get to the hotel and we'd say the same thing about the last hour of the ride. We knew we were about an hour away from the hotel. We're like, all right, let's get here. Let's change some oils. Let's take a shower. Let's get something decent to eat tonight. And let's go to bed because we got to leave at 6 a.m. And then
Just skipped a step.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, let's change some oil. Let's get showers. Let's get some food. Let's get blackout drunk and let's get some rest.
Right. So we would all just kind of joke like, oh, well, let's just get to bed early tonight. We got a long day tomorrow. Today was tough. That was 12 hours. We have any more breakdowns? It's going to be 15. And then we'd get there. We'd change. We'd shower. We'd eat. And then we're like, all right, let's each drink 150 beers and let's go to bed.
that's just music to my ears because, you know, our little rides, we do 40 bars in 4 days. That's our annual ride. And we call it a pub scoot. And in that last hour, we just try to get back. So it's not smart what we do. You guys sound a little bit smarter. But so let's go back a little bit. And can we talk a little bit about the Soldiers of Destiny and a little bit of the history of the club and how all this craziness got started?
Yeah, we have been sort of in some form or another riding together since around 2008-9. We didn't really get official, I think. And by official, I mean, like we came up with a dumb name, Soldiers of Destiny. And that was in I think 2009. But it started in Bellingham, Washington. A bunch of our friends were up there going to school and they needed a cheap way to get back and forth to campus. And they were also running a small business and they didn't have parking at either of those things. And so they're like, let's just grab a scooter and see if this works. One guy got one and we were all 19, 20. And as soon as one guy got one and saw how much fun it was the same feeling of being a kid riding your bike again. So we all got one. And then the name and the helmets kind of came about. Well, the name came about on a red-eye flight to New York. We were joking about a funny metal band sounding name for the most non-metal band thing ever. And the helmet started because we originally went with red capes. And those were going to be just this funny way for cars to see us because there were a lot of kids getting hit by cars in Bellingham. And we used the capes, and then that lasted about 3 blocks, and the capes were blowing around into our faces, and then we were becoming the problem. So then we thought, okay, let's just put something on our helmets, and ipso facto, one trip later to Archie McPhee's, we all ended up with a different mask, and we stretched it over the helmet. We're like, well, we got to buy them.
Nice.
So that was it.
Beautiful.
They fit perfectly.
Yeah, there are two of the guys here are Westernites. Graduates from there, and I think my son was going there while you were doing that. He was started 2008.
Nice. Yeah. Well, then if you mention the Cobra Lounge hookah bar to him, he's probably met a few of us because that's where we spent all of our time, and that was the business that the guys ran. So that's where we were always hanging out.
Probably not just fruit going in those bowls either in Bellingham. So,
according to the LCB, it was.
So there were 7 of you. Was that the whole club, or can you tell us a little bit more about Soldiers of Destiny now as a Seattle-based?
Yeah, there's actually, so in the bio of the movie, we say 7 Soldiers of Destiny scooter riders, but now, because there were 8 riders total, only 7 of us were club members. The 8th guy just happened to be a photographer who wanted to come along for the trip. We ended up just loving him, and years later, actually, just when we screened the film at the Portland Motorcycle Film Festival, we patched him in. So now it's officially 8 riders from the Soldiers of Destiny Club that did the whole thing. But there are a total, I think there's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30 of us. Just over the years, marriages and kids and job changes and moving, there's a lot of them scattered all over the country now. Some of them are even in Canada. And I think that we really are down to somewhere in the round of about 20 to 25 that we can say are active normal members that we see once in a while. And it's been just over 10 years. So when we brought the idea up to do the cannonball, you of course just everybody being in the club, they're already weirdos, say yes to things like this, but everybody said yes. They're like, absolutely, I want to be involved. And then the closer we got to it, they're like, I don't think so. So it went down from like 20 to 8, well 7 with our photographer. And then after the fact, every single one of those people that originally had said yes but said no were very, very, very bummed and said if we ever do something like this again, they can't miss it. So hopefully if we did another one, it would double.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to catch one of your premieres at Elysian Fields down in downtown Seattle. And that was nice big crowd. One. Yeah, big crowd.
Yeah, it was somewhere close to, we think there was somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 people there. And Elysian was not quite ready for that, but they were still thankful that we did it there. And they were a big supporter too.
Well, I ran into you, Derric, there at that deal. And you guys you were all over that bar.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of for the backers, which are a lot of friends and family, and the businesses that were also helping us out too. We're all there, so it was a lot of shaking hands and kissing babies. So,
Well, cool deal. And also our friends in Vespa Portland hosted you for a film night.
Yeah, that was actually, second favorite screening of the film, I think. The first one being the Portland Motorcycle Film Festival. But Vespa Portland was so nice to host us. It was kind of weird and happenstance. There's a local scooter club here in Portland where I live called Twist and Play. And I was out one night for one of their happy hours. And I asked the club president, hey, I know you know the guy from Vespa because you work at Vespa. So can you introduce me to him? And he turned around, tapped a guy on the shoulder. He goes, Andrew, Derric, Andrew. And then just walked away. And I was like, all right, man, that was great. And I was like, hey, so made this movie. Do you want to show it? He's like, yep. Do you want to know anything about it? It's a scooter movie, right? Yep. Yep, I'll show it. That was it. And then we just put everything together. And that was actually a lot of fun. I think that we had a beer sponsor for that one. 250-ish people also at that one.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, the best thing about those first two ones is, besides the fact that the one in Seattle was, backers who had already sort of financially, and a lot of them had already financially supported the project. Those first two ones we just made free and somehow got a beer sponsor to kick in free beers. So it was like the best of both worlds. It was just a couple empty weekends. It's like, hey, come out and hang out with a bunch of idiots and see how many of these dish shoots you can take home, because we can't do anything with them after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then it was at the Motorcycle Film Festival. Tell us about that. I saw on your social posts that there was a big plaque.
Yeah.
We won an award.
Yeah, a legitimate one. That was, and the coolest thing about the Portland Motorcycle Film Festival, those guys, first of all, the guys that run it are awesome. And I don't know how they can do it just with the skeleton crew they have, but they pull off a terrific event. And it just gets bigger and better every year. This year, we didn't expect to get into it to begin with. So when we were submitting to all these film festivals all around the country, we were really just kind of, throwing Hail Marys and hoping one person on the back end of the submission process would have somehow owned a scooter at some point and just been able to say, yeah, cool, this is interesting to me, go for it. So once we heard no from so many film festivals, we were all kind of like, wow, well, just waiting to get this, the rejection letter from Portland. And they said yes. And then it turned into the exact opposite. It was like, they were super excited about it. It was the first time we'd shown the movie to, it was like 400 or so, maybe more than that. Derric can probably tell you, people that were in the theater. And it was the first time we'd shown the movie to a group of people who understood the process. Like, they get going on a ride. They understand what a breakdown is. You don't have to explain to them what a clutch does. And they get kind of that inside two-wheeled life. And so it was so much more satisfying. Not that the other ones weren't, but it was so much more satisfying to look around and see people's reaction to things because they just get it. They understand how difficult that was, or how much fun it was, that was the most fun experience. And then at the end of it, well, in the middle of it, actually, there's a part in the film I don't want to completely spoil, but somebody gets a head shaved, and they loved it so much that they posted on their Facebook, if anybody wants to come. So our movie played on Friday night. And they said, if anybody wants to come to the film festival tomorrow night, Saturday night, with a fresh cul-de-sac haircut, which means you just shave the very top of your head and leave all the rest of the hair, we will give you free tickets to next year's film festival. So we were laughing about that, and we're like, "Well, that's really cool." They wrap their arms around this, and we go to a few of our guys go to the festival, and the festival organizers go up on stage and are like, "Well, listen, we didn't have anybody show up today with a fresh cul-de-sac haircut, but we have the directors of Slow Ride Home here on stage, and if anybody wants to volunteer right now to come on stage and get their haircut in front of everyone, we will give you festival tickets for life." So three people volunteered. Yeah, 3 people volunteered, including one woman. Went up on stage, got her head shaved, and they get to go to the Portland Motorcycle Film Festival for life. And I think there was a little bit of, I think that certainly helped our chances by winning an award, because it really kind of magnified our story and just how ridiculous it was. But the award we got was the People's Choice Award, and that was, I think, the thing that we're most proud of really throughout from the first showing at Elysian Field through that one, is we have an actual trophy that proves the 4 years of work we put into it. That was enjoyed by someone.
And who possesses that trophy right now?
Everybody gets it for 2 weeks.
We passed it around.
Stanley Cup.
Even the guys that didn't ride. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say they just have to stare at it from a distance. That's their fault. They had their chance.
So let's talk about the ride a little bit. Why don't you give us a 3 to 4 minute overview between the two of you of some of the highlights and the, I mean, I've seen it, but I'm not sure I could share the impossibility of it as well as you guys could. So if you could just tell us exactly what the hell happened here.
Well, I think anybody who's probably a fan of yours or scootering knows what the scooter cannonball is. And if they don't, it's pretty simple. You ride from one end of the country to the other. And that has been going on for quite a while. The scooter cannonball thing has existed in its form. It happens every 2 years, and they've just ping pong around the country. And so if you've never done the ride, you don't get any choice or say into where it starts or ends, which is frustrating when you're trying to plan, like, how do we ship our bikes all the way over there, or where do we get our parts, or any of those things. But we got really, really, really freakishly lucky because the year we decided to do it, it ended in our hometown, well, close to our hometown in Seattle. And it started in the parking lot of one of our scooter club members' wife's job. So our guy Ron he moved to Florida, and he's been super bummed that he's been out there alone riding the scooter by himself. And then the scooter cannonball pops up, and it just so happens that it's starting from the parking lot from where his wife works. We're like, well, we absolutely cannot not do this now.
Scooter gods are on your side.
Absolutely. It was the most serendipitous thing that we could have imagined. So Derric, I think, and a couple other guys were the earliest adopters to, like, whatever. Yep, 1,000%. I don't care what it takes. I'm doing it. And so Derric and I and 2 other guys, Paul and Joe, were really the core nucleus of planning this thing. And the further we got, the more people either dropped off or the more people got concrete cemented into, like, yes, I'm doing it. So we spent probably 2 years meeting every Monday, going over how we were going to raise money, because this is not going to be cheap, what type of sponsors we wanted, how we can possibly, give them whatever their worth is of what we're asking from them. And then Derric weaved in this, man, this is crazy enough. We should really make a film. So Joe and Paul and I kind of went through all the logistics of where the route, now that we know where the start and ending point is, how we're going to get there, the hotels we need to book, how much of everything we should carry, what we should assign to people based for tools. And what we didn't realize was the majority of the guys who were going on this ride, minus Derric and I, really don't know how to work on their scooters at all.
Hello.
So that is a really, really big thing. If we do something again, we need to make sure that there's some amount of mechanical training before we leave the starting line. And so we spent about 2 years going through the how do we get from A to Z, and somehow we had a lot of people who were either excited as we were about it to say, like, you guys are never going to finish this. Sure, here's $500. And some other shops were like, oh, if you guys do get this far, we'll really help you with something else in the future. So we started to just really believe in the fact that we could do it based on the way people were responding to our requests. And I'll let Derric take the ride part of it, since he did so much the mechanics. But it was really us meeting in bars on Mondays to go through the how, what, who, when, and where. And somehow guys who barely graduated community college figured it out.
So real quick, you gentlemen did not determine the route then. Is that correct?
We did not determine the start and end. There are checkpoints along the route that if you want to say you've completed the scooter cannonball, that you have to hit. So we there is some flexibility within the route, but it is still really, really up to you if you're going to do exactly the cannonball requirements. Some people just bailed on it the first day and they're like, I just want to get through it. I'm not doing these checkpoints. And we booked our hotels in advance. So what we knew was the starting point and end point and what each starting point of each day was going to be. That's really kind of all they give you.
So were you on the route, your 8 were on the route with 100 other people or 20 or what was the?
Yeah, Derric, what do you think, how many there were?
On the ride total, I think that we started right around like the 35 or 40.
Yeah.
But most of them were on big boy Vespas or Bergmans and things like that. They just hopped on the freeway and just ripped it.
Yeah.
I think that we were the only crew outside of a few vintage people who actually took the back roads and did our damnedest to stay off of the freeways.
Okay.
So I really think that there were just outside of our group, maybe like 5 or 6 people that really took the time to enjoy the ride.
If you can call it enjoy the ride, yeah.
You had a drone. Also, you had some drone footage there. That means you had to stop and set those up, and so your days weren't just full driving. You were stopping and getting those shots as you.
We had a crew with us, so we had a film crew of 1, 2, 3, 4 people that included a driver. So they had their own chase vehicle, and we had our own support van. So we had a Sprinter that was running support for the actual riding crew, and then the film crew had just a Honda Element, so they were mounting things to the hood of the car, the roof of the car, shooting things through the sunroof. There were some gimbal shots from the back of a scooter, so where one of the cameramen got on the back of the bike and was shooting some shots. Then there was also the drone footage too, which is spectacular. I mean,
beautiful.
You've seen it, so yeah.
The funniest thing about the drone footage is we had one of our guys who was riding up front with me, so I had the maps on my GPS, so I had to be in the front. Who was like, "Hey, coming up in X miles, we have this, or we got to turn, or there's a gas stop, or whatever." Paul, the guy next to me, had the radio for the support truck. So the support truck had a radio to the support film crew, I guess, to the other car. And they were saying, hey, up ahead, it looks like there's a great bridge coming up. We're going to race up there. We'll radio when you're close. And you guys have to slow down to like 30 miles an hour because the drone can't fly faster than like 22. So we knew whenever there was a drone shot coming up, we had to just we tightened all together and just slowed down so the drone could go just fast enough for us. So there was some amount of ballet to it. But in hindsight, it's one of those, I mean, no one would ever know. Well, and we're already going so slow, it wasn't like we were really dropping off.
We could tell because the cape stayed behind you.
Yeah, that's actually
and the antlers.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, the support people, were they part of the club, or who were they? How'd you get them talked into it?
Yeah, good question. One of the guys, sort of serendipitous for him too, he worked for an insurance company and was like, I hate this. I've been here for 25 years. I need a break. I need to do something else. Quit his job. And we're like, we got a perfect opportunity for you, man. You want to grab a cup? And we sweetened the deal by saying we'll give you per diem every day. It's not going to cost you any money. We'll change the oil in your car every X amount of miles. All the things that we could do to make him say yes, because what he really wanted to do was go fishing. So everywhere we'd stop, he would try to find somewhere to throw his fishing pole in the water. But
had his travel pole.
He did. And the support driver that was driving the Sprinter van, oh my God, we cannot apologize to that guy enough forever. So
Dave hates us.
Yeah, he was just one of the guys' friends. Sort of same thing. He was out of college, didn't have a big job that he was starting, was like, yeah, I'll do it. And it ended up just being the most miserable couple weeks of his life. He was driving
11 days alone.
11 days alone. He went through probably 20 bags of sunflower seeds, and he would sit in this Mercedes Sprinter van driving 46 miles an hour across the entire country with every car in the world flipping him off as they went past. Because it was
well, kudos for him to not quitting.
He's scraping baby diapers, making $12.50 an hour, and happy about it now.
We owe him. We made a coffee table book. That was the 8th rider, was our photographer, and the only role he was going to have was to make this really beautiful collection of photos, which he did. And we put a little like a zine, a short magazine version with some other collection of photos in the coffee table book. And on the very back side of it, we dedicated it to Dane, and we said, we hope you, we all apologize and hope you forgive us someday.
And it's such a cool deal. How well, before we get to how we can get the DVD, did anything odd happen? Was there anything that you had to scratch your head and say that was the weirdest thing that we've ever experienced while you were on the ride?
How many groupies were there?
That's a different question.
And there, Derric, maybe you remember this too, but there were two, and it shows it one of them in the movie, but there were two really, really, really difficult and terrifying at the moment. Like as much as we were joking about it in our helmets, we were all, I think, individually thinking like, oh, wow, this could get really gnarly. This could be bad. This could get worse. We could lose somebody. And then once you start going down that rabbit hole, you kind of understand where, how dark and deep that can go. So the first or second day, we went through a really gnarly storm in this state park. And, that was the one that in the film there's a mention of, but there was one of the later days we were in Montana and we were thinking that it was going to be a similar situation. The sky was really, really black and really, really ugly and really angry. And having grown up in Montana, I knew what that looks like. The same way a couple of the guys that were with us spent a lot of time in the South, and they're like, "Oh, this happens all the time. It's going to get worse." When we got to Montana and I saw that black sky, I was like, "This doesn't happen very often here." And when it does, it shuts down things for several days. So we rode through directly towards the black sky. And it was almost as if we were driving into like a horseshoe-shaped storm. We were going directly towards the middle of the horseshoe, and then the storm completely pivoted and went behind us. Like it just turned. And there's a photo that's in our coffee table book. We're pulled off on the side of the road, all looking back at the storm, and it looks like it has to be photoshopped in some way because it's just too black to be real.
Scooter guys.
And
you were being taken care of there.
Wow. But it was just this weird feeling of, we're so far, and then we're going to be so bummed if this is, because it was really, really bad lightning and really bad wind, all the things you would expect in the storm. And having already gone through one of them, it wasn't funny anymore. And it was like, oh God, we have to figure out how to get through this. And then all of a sudden it was just like this snap of a finger. It was behind us and we didn't go through it. And it just felt too, I don't know if it's spiritual, but it felt too connected to something.
Wow.
That's cool.
It was not quite fully connected, though. We did still have that intense wind. And in Montana, there's no way for you to avoid the freeway. So here we are in Montana on the freeway doing 25 because the headwind is like 60 miles an hour.
Yeah. We had our choice. We could either ride the freeway and get past and just get smoked by semi-trucks, or we could ride on the railroad tracks.
Oh, man. What a couple of shitty options.
Yeah, and we're the smallest bikes on all the cannonballs, so no one else is worried about getting on a freeway if they have to. Most of the guys are doing the freeway, and we would stop at like our lunch stops at 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon, having ridden for 6 or 7 hours already, and be seeing photos of the other cannonball guys already checking into hotels with their feet up drinking beer. We're like, we have 8 or 9 hours minimum left to go.
That's demoralizing.
And you guys were riding 125s. Were they all the same bike? Why don't you tell us what you were riding?
Yeah, we all have Yamaha Zuma 125s, except for one guy, Ron, the guy in Florida. When he moved down there, he bought himself a Honda Reflex 250. And
nice.
Ron is a much bigger dude than us anyway. He's well over 6 feet tall, and he's just a bigger guy. So the only thing that was really going to work and be comfortable for him. The funny thing is now he moved back, when he got back to Florida, he bought a Zuma 125 because he's like, I have to have, they're bulletproof. I need that.
Yeah.
And so we all rode bone stock Zuma 125s. I rebuilt the top end on mine before we left. And I think mine may have some of the most miles on it. Derric's story about his scooter is my favorite. So I'll let him take that one.
I bought a scooter from somebody in Central Florida off Craigslist, sight unseen, and it cost me $800, and it had been ridden very hard. It had 15,000 miles on it when I bought it. It was rusting. It's rough, but I'm riding it to this day. I ride it every single day. In fact, I'm doing deliveries for Caviar now on it, and it's got over 30,000 miles on it. Wow. So it made it.
Oh man!
I paid $800 for it. I think I put $300 or $400 into it, and as far as getting it up to par. And I was one of the few people who on the ride did not break a belt. did not have any single issue whatsoever, and have continued to not have issues with that bike, which
Yeah, a
is
scooter like
beyond
that's-
me. I don't get it.
A scooter like that's got to have a name. What do you got for it?
Black Betty.
Old Black Betty. Yeah, gee, it looked like when we showed up to Florida, we shipped all of our bikes ahead, and some weird shipping company, or not shipping company, some weird person, because it was kind of farmed out. The shipping company takes bids, so you don't know who's going to come pick it up. And we weren't sure they were going to make it. And then we get down to Florida and see our bikes. And we're like, all right, they're in one piece. Great. And then we see Derric's bike and we're like, at the bottom of what lake did you find that? And how do you expect this to make it at all? And of course, this was the only bike that had absolutely no issues the whole time.
He probably was able to. Go ahead.
I do take that back, because there was that one issue, because when I had it trucked up from, I can't remember where it was just north of Miami, I think is where I bought it. But it was actually registered in the Keys. So it spent a lot of time on the beach, like just getting a lot of saltwater action. But when we got it, Joe and I actually sent our scooters to some sketchy mechanic in Jacksonville to have them once over. And I got mine back, and it was just, it didn't handle right. And any sort of twist of the handlebars, and it would kind of throw you in one direction. And we couldn't figure it out. And actually had a couple of the guys fly some front shocks along with them while they were coming to Florida. And I think it was like 30 seconds of looking at it, Justin's like, oh yeah, it's cupping. The front tire is cupping.
Yeah.
And
bad front tire. But you somehow just didn't even notice it.
Yeah. And that was the only issue that I had, and that was prior to the ride. So once we got some new tires for it, good to go.
Wow. Well, that's a ride that makes us all a little bit jealous, because we
And pucker.
pucker a little bit. So how does anybody that's listening to us out there, how do they get a hold of this? How do they watch it? Now the trailer's up on YouTube, but what's the best way?
Right now, the easiest way, and as of, what is today, the 11th, the easiest way as of right now is to go to our website, which is just slowridehome.com. There's going to be two buttons there. There's one that says purchase, and there's another one that says Amazon Prime. We submitted the film to Amazon Prime Video. So anybody who has Amazon Prime at some point will be able to stream it for free, or rent it, or download it and purchase it and own it. You can watch it offline. But due to everything happening, COVID has really delayed that process for Amazon quite a while. So maybe by the time someone's listening to this, that button will be active, and we hope it will be. Where they said it normally takes about 4 days to be approved, and we did all the things that they said to do. We had to pay to get the film subtitled and all of these things that were required before Amazon will allow you to stream it. And submitted, I think after 10 days, we were like, okay, this definitely is not a 4-day approval process. And we knew that it was going to be delayed at some point. So we just decided, let's go ahead and just say it's available for purchase on our website right now for the same price it would have been on Amazon, which it is. And because if we don't hear anything from Amazon for a month or 2 months, and if and when we do hear something from Amazon, the answer is no, we are going to have just kind of wasted this time. So we figured let's just, as of right now, let's just go ahead and release it on the website. And if they want to download it and watch it, they can. If they want to wait for Amazon, they can. But right now, the only way to do it is to go to the website and hit the purchase button. And there is a way to stream it from the website if you don't have the storage on your computer. But we recommend just downloading it and saving it on an external hard drive and hooking that thing up to your TV and enjoying a minimum of 3 beers before you hit play.
Okay.
Well, guys, thank you.
Wait, I've got one question.
Oh,
if
wait,
I
we're
may.
not done.
So
All right.
we make a pact that if one of us dies on the trip, we finish our trip and then deal with the funeral process afterwards. Did you guys have any sort of if one guy doesn't make it or mechanical failure, you leave him, or everybody aborts?
I think we don't want to put that energy out, but I think we may have had like a backup plan. Derric, what were you going to say?
We had that support van. So if, short of somebody dying, we had a contingency plan. So there was that one time when Elliot's bike broke down and we didn't know what it was. He ended up actually hitting the kill switch, but we were really considering renting a trailer because we couldn't figure out what was going on, and then we just started it up. But we only had space for one. We only had space for one broken down bike
in the Sprinter.
Yeah, we had already broken one.
Yeah.
Well, we already broke one. It was after the transmission blew up in one of them. So it was already on the back and it was useless. So we would have had to move some gear around and wheel it inside the back of the Sprinter van. But we still could have managed. We could have figured something out. But somebody got injured. That's another story. I mean, we had support, but it probably would have put a big damper on the movie and on the ride. So
in our deal, to be clear, Mr. Shelford, I've never heard the death conversation before.
Well, bad luck, whatever it might be.
I think it was more like, if you have a flat tire, we're leaving you. If you didn't bring a spare.
Sounds like the difference is these guys might actually like each other.
The flat tire of life is the same thing.
We liked each other in the first couple of days, and things started changing. But by the end of it, we got closer than we ever even really believed it, and didn't really go into it thinking that how we were going to be thinking about each other by the end of the ride. And that was the biggest surprise. And our favorite part, I think, in hindsight, is looking back as to how we all felt about each other when we actually made it to the finish line. But, and spoiler alert, yeah, we finished. But you
just ruined the movie.
There is a moment in the movie where we did have a transmission failure, and it was really, really, really scary for a minute. And you can see in one of the shots, since I'm in the front, it happened right next to me. And I could hear what happened, and I could kind of see what happened in my mirror. But I basically watched like my best friend get launched into the ditch. And I was like, oh, no. And like in my head, I did that thing where I was like, it's not real. It's not real. It's not real. And so there's a shot where you can just see me continually riding away because I just refused to admit that what I just saw. And so I had to flip around and come back. But it's a small Easter egg that I like to point out to people when they're watching it. I keep going because I just didn't want to believe that it was happening.
Wow. Or you just didn't care about Paul.
No, I was terrible. I was like, because it was my idea. I was like, I just killed my friend. Like, I can't live with myself.
And then have to explain to everybody when you got home.
Yeah. And that's something you can look for if anybody downloads and watches the movie, which in advance, if they do, thank you so much. Because the guys who edited the film ended up being one of the guy who we just patched in, the 8th member. His name is Jesse Morrow, and he's just this incredible graphic designer. He's just the most talented guy at everything he does. He's so frustratingly good at everything he does. And we did not ask him, and he was not expecting to edit the film. But after some frustrating some times that we just had to put behind us, we turned a hard drive over to Elliot and Jesse. The two of them are the graphic design company in Portland who did the photo book and were on the ride. And they edited the movie. They've never edited a movie before. They were first-time filmmakers. And yeah, those guys deserve everything in the world, and they did it for $0.
Nice. So, well, congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Jesse also scored the movie, and not only did he choose all the songs and find the band. I mean, we sourced the bands as a group, but a lot of the music is actually from Jesse as
original
well.
Music.
Yeah, he's a very talented musician. Going back to your point of him being an all-around super talented guy, I don't think that we could have put this movie in any better hands than Jesse. I think that he really came through when we were a little desperate, actually. So.
Yeah, and in another perfect example of the Scooter guys being on our side for that, because he was a last-second addition to take pictures, and he ended up being the hero and saved the entire project.
Oh, that's great. And to anybody out there, download it, buy it, spend the money, and watch it, because nothing will put you in the mood to ride more than that. Well, for the first couple of days.
Yeah.
And once again, congratulations and thanks for taking the time to share your adventure and your project with us.
Man, thank you guys so much. We've been seeing some in the past. We've been tagged in some of your guys' previous episodes, so this is cool to come to fruition and be on here. So thank you guys.
Yep. Thank you.
I've actually done quite a few of the bars that you guys have stopped at throughout Portland. So that's a lot of fun. I love to go back and listen to the episodes where you feature some of the bars here, so that I can pop in there and kind of, so this is a haunted bar, huh? All right. Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We appreciate it.
It was that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Portland tore us up. It was fun. But
yeah. Portland's a great town. So.
We'll do that.
And we'll be heading back down. We were coming down for the spring scoot, and unfortunately we weren't, I guess it didn't happen.
Everybody here is heartbroken. I mean, that's what was it, Spring Scoot 26 or 27, something like that? Spring Scoot, I can't remember what number it is, but it's it's been going on for close to 3 decades, and this is the first time ever that they've had to cancel it. So everybody in the club is really, really disappointed, to the point where they may actually just throw a ride together at the end of summer, maybe in the fall time. So it won't be a spring scoot, it'll be a fall scoot. But then you'll get to do 2 rides with these guys, maybe 6 months apart. So
nice.
3 months apart.
Yeah.
All right. Well, get back to your Saturday, guys, and thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you both.
Thank you guys. So
Thanks
much.
for having us.
We'll see you. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Well,
Okay, I've got 2 questions from this interview.
okay. That was fun, though.
Number 1, what's your story on buffalo and clouds?
Oh,
They
my
talked
old
about the dark
story?
cloud, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the cows and the buffaloes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So when a storm's coming, the cows run away from the storm. They see it coming and they run away from it. Oh, what was that? What was that noise?
Nothing, just my pockets.
And cows will run away and the storm just stays on top of them because they keep running and they stay in the storm, whereas a buffalo will charge into a storm and let it go right over the top of them, and they're in and out of it. So the buffalo are a little smarter than the cow. But why do you ask, Mark?
Well, they talked about the dark cloud over there.
In Montana. Yeah, when they were riding.
They definitely buffaloed that one.
So, and then the other question: when are you going to patch me in as a member of your scooter club? When are we doing patches? I like the concept.
Right now, you're a prospect, so we'll do our best to get you all patched in. I think we're stickered in. That's what we are.
Stickered.
Yeah. We haven't started wearing the vests and the patches yet, but we're going to. So,
Because you could put number 1 on our vests.
but thanks to the guys at Soldiers Dusting. They're out of Seattle and Portland to some degree, and we hope to have a ride with them and a cold beer.
And looking forward to the movie.
I got to say that's a very impressive movie, or not. Just the fact that they did that is really something.
Well, and you remember that a lot of people went on the freeways and the fast routes, and they took the side roads, and it took them a little longer.
Yeah, no kidding. I just think that's wonderful.
So, yeah, thanks, guys. That was really fun. So, I guess that's
a full episode.
No, not really, because we had a ride. You want to save our ride for the next one? It's going to be we could talk a little bit about it. We promised at the beginning of this podcast. You guys,
I can't talk about it.
That's right. You weren't there.
Yeah.
Oh, you had to work.
We took a ride. We left this area and headed down the back roads down to Bakota.
South.
Yeah, one of my favorite places.
We started out at the Lizard Lounge.
That's right.
We had a snort in your parking lot of your lounge and distanced ourselves, took a photo or 2. Then we headed in the back roads behind JBLM, which is a joint base, Lewis McCord. We ended up in Roy.
Mighty Roy.
We found an event center off the main road. We might have had another snort.
Nice stop.
It was nice. There was a guy with his truck doing the same thing we were, but it smelled much like a Christmas tree.
God love the evergreens.
And then it was a beautiful day. We continued to cruise south through Tenino. We stopped in the parking lot of the what was that place called in Tenino? The Landmark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We stopped at Waltz also.
And we stopped at Waltz. That's right, in the back parking lot of Waltz. And then we ended up in Bakota at Joe's place.
Mean Jean lives on.
Yes, and
So, was she there?
no, but she's still with us.
She's still working?
No, she's not working, but she's still with us.
Okay, gotcha.
She's not we wouldn't be chasing her yet. And then we got burgers to go, takeout food. Our plan was to make sure we left some money there, and we headed to a local park.
We ate. We had another little beverage,
That's right.
and then we turned around and headed north.
We powered back.
Yeah.
Actually, we did pretty straight through. We had one stop at
Roy, and then another stop at my brother's. We need a little pull.
We didn't stop very long in Roy, if you remember.
No, 'cause the cop drove by.
Twice.
is that right?
He went by twice. He had his eye on us.
I don't really want to deal with you guys. Just get going.
Just kept moving. So we hopped on, ended up in your brother's driveway, up in the Summit area. No? What area is it?
Ish.
Yeah. And then we were home before 5.
It was a good day.
10 to 5.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were no FPs in Bakota? Or wait, there was one, right?
What's an FP? Oh,
No, Ike was on that trip.
that's
He
right.
made a full trip.
He did. He went. In fact, I think he would have gone for one more stop. So good for Ike.
Well,
Does he have half an M back then? Or is he Nike now? Or
he's still like.
It's a capital I, though.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap this one up. We got our ride in. We got our interview in.
hey, Mark,
Yeah.
do we have any new listeners that you've
You know,
note?
what I did is I downgraded my subscription to Libsyn, which gives me all the countries because I'm in a saving money mode, and so I don't know. We may, but
How much is that subscription?
I don't want to talk about that because then it'll be another capital call. All I can tell you is I'm saving 25%.
25%.
I'm quite certain we have new listeners in Australia and New Zealand and
Yes.
and Fiji and wherever else you
I'm
always
waiting for
haven't
Switzerland to get on board.
Switzerland's on board. We
Are
have
they?
listeners in Switzerland. You bet.
They're at the park.
In fact, thank you, our Swiss listeners, for
Swissners.
and everybody else. Thanks to Justin and Derric from the Soldiers of Destiny, and those were great stories. And weeknights for the original music, and our greasy shut-in crew here, Keith, who brought his pre-mixed Bloody Marys,
It's actually quite famous from South Dakota.
and here we
Just
are in the
wanna point that
garage
out.
What about
in our podcast
live
studio.
interview?
I just said thanks to them.
Thanks to Andrew.
Yeah, what
Yeah,
about-
well, I was going to let you guys do that.
Oh, well,
Thank you,
thanks,
Andrew.
Andrew. Come join us in person someday.
Until then, be safe out there, head on a swivel, keep the rubber side down, do all the things you need to do, and ride.
And things are getting better.
Copyright 2020 by Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bar.